Hello, my fellow VSGers. This is Joe Saint, along with my sidekick Frankensleeve, bringing you another quick fact, frequently asked question. And this frequently asked question is, what was the last straw that made you choose weight loss surgery? And I chose weight loss surgery after going on vacation in July of 2012. That was my last straw. I had to take a 4-hour flight from Houston, Texas, up to Seattle, Washington, in order to catch our cruise ship for a 7-day cruise to Alaska. And the 4-hour flight was pretty miserable. I was at my highest weight, around 372, 375, and while I could fit into one seat, I was very uncomfortable and I was spilling over into the other seats next to me. And to avoid the embarrassment of being told I'd have to buy 2 seats, I went ahead and bought 2 seats online before the trip, just in case. I didn't know what the rules were anymore, and if they still pulled people out and told them they would have to buy 2 seats. So I didn't want to be embarrassed, and I went ahead and bought my extra plane ticket. And after the 4-hour flight, we had to stand around for at least a good hour or 2 hours before we could board the charter buses that would take us off to the cruise lines. And that was another miserable experience for me because my feet can't handle, or couldn't handle at the time, standing upright for more than 20 to 30 minutes. I would get these burning sensations in my right or left foot, and I would be forced to limp around or find a place to sit. So I was pretty miserable on the flight up there and waiting around to catch the bus to the cruise ship. But my final straw came about the 3rd day. I was sitting up on the cabin bed, and I was sitting sideways to the mirror, and I was wearing this huge white t-shirt, and I looked over at myself slumped over on the bed, and my first thought was I looked like a huge white trash bag that was just filled up with pudding. And I looked at myself, looking at myself in the mirror, and it was as though I was wearing a costume, that this wasn't the real me, that I couldn't believe what I was seeing, that it was like a Halloween costume that I should be able to take off at any time, because I knew on the inside that wasn't who I really was, and it wasn't who I was meant to be. Up until that point, I had never really taken a side profile view of myself. I don't have any full-length mirrors in my house, and the one mirror I have in my bedroom is a dresser mirror, and it's halfway blocked by books and my lamps and just junk, so I don't ever really look in it. And my bathroom mirror is just from the chest up, so it's only good for shaving and combing my hair. So as I said, I've never really had a good long hard look at myself in a full-length mirror or from the side like I was sitting on the bed. But it was at that point that I realized that my life was only going to get worse if I didn't do something about my weight problem. So almost immediately after returning from the vacation, I started doing more in-depth research by calling my insurance company to find out which surgeons in my area would perform what types of bariatric surgery. It turns out my nearest surgeon is approximately 2 hours away in Houston, Texas. So I was going to have to commit to going to him for all my checkups and having all my tests done, and then finally having surgery done. It was going to be 2 hours up there, 2 hours back. So I was looking at a 4-hour round trip each time for something as simple as just having my weight checked. So I had to mentally prepare myself to commit that I was willing to do whatever it took to get the weight off of me. And I kind of hem-hawed around for a few weeks, and I started my research and got a little bit deeper into it and started narrowing down my choices of surgeons. I went on Google and I did a Google search for the doctors' names, and I found several of them that actually showed up on different doctor review sites, and I found them listed by people in different forums and what kind of experiences they'd had with them. And I searched for a doctor who had several years of experience and specialized in weight loss surgery. Specifically the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, because I wasn't prepared to do the R and Y. There's just something about the thought of them rerouting my intestines that really just turns me off about the whole idea. So when I heard that the vertical sleeve gastrectomy was covered by my insurance, that really set it in my mind that I was going to go through with this. My initial plan was to start off in the whole program of seeing the doctor in November of 2012, and then have the final surgery sometime in December when I had a break from work. I was going to use my vacation days in December for the recovery period. I didn't want anyone to know about it except the people that I had to tell, so I knew that if I could time it just right, I could go into surgery and be off for up to 2 weeks and go back to work, and only I would know about it. But unfortunately, I lost my nerve sometime in November, and I thought I'd give myself one more chance at losing weight the normal way. But by the end of November, I realized that I was back in my old habits, and things just weren't going to improve. So I had to sit down with myself and have a deep conversation about, do I really want to be living this way a year from now? And that's how I usually make big decisions. I ask myself, do you like what you're in right now? And do you want to be in the same situation a year from now? And if the answer is no, then I need to develop a plan and put it into action. So around December the 5th or 6th, I called my doctor up and got an appointment with him on, I believe, December the 7th. And fortunately, my insurance very easily approves weight loss surgery. I was lucky enough to talk to the operator at my insurance who had just gone through the surgery a few months earlier, and she was giving high praise to the surgery and how well it was working out for her. So I thought it was kind of an omen that the first person I called at the insurance company also had the same surgery I'm looking into and was very successful. And since I already had a comorbidity, being sleep apnea, I had already pre-qualified as a weight loss surgery patient through my insurance. So I didn't have to worry about doing a 6-month supervised diet or getting a letter or recommendation from a doctor or anything like that. So when I told my doctor that I wanted to be sleeved before the end of December, he put me on a fast track. It was my first visit, I believe, was on December the 7th, and I was sleeved on December 27th. So just a hair over 3 weeks from my first visit to the final surgery. So the first 10 days, I did my initial nutritionist visit, which I was only required to do one, had my initial doctor's visit, went into the hospital and had the x-rays and my blood drawn, and a few days later I went back to the hospital again and they did the EGD test, where they stick the camera down your throat and check out your stomach to make sure that there's nothing that will surprise them during surgery. And then around the 13th or 14th of December, I went in and did my psychological evaluation. Once I got the final evaluation from the psychologist, they set up an appointment for me to come in one more time to the doctor's office. Basically gave me the rundown of what to expect on the day of surgery, when to be there, what to bring with me, and they set my appointment date. And that was it. I was all set for surgery on the 27th. Fortunately, I called the hospital a few days before surgery to confirm everything was okay, and they told me at the time that I had taken my blood test too soon, and because it was further out than 3 days prior to surgery, they could not use those blood tests to meet some of the requirements for qualifying for surgery. So I had to go in on a Monday before the 27th and have the blood redrawn. So that was the last straw for me, and how I came up with my plan to have weight loss surgery. This is Joe Saint and my sidekick Frankensleeve, signing off from VSG Land. And keep pimping that sleeve.